When Clementine woke up a couple of hours later, she saw that Luke, Carlos, Sarah were with Rebecca, Connie, Pete, and Nick. They were talking to each other. Sarah walked off and went over to Clementine. She seemed very sad. "What's wrong?" Clementine asked. "Reggie," Luke couldn't help him. He panicked when he saw Carver's people approaching. "They didn't know what happened to him," Sarah explained. Clementine frowned and said, "It's my fault. I should have done something. I could have helped him." "Clem, it wasn't your fault. If there's anyone to blame, it would be Carver," Sarah said. Clementine gripped her arm as she said, "I still feel bad for what happened to him." Sarah frowned and nodded her head. She understood what the younger girl was going through. "Don't worry, girls. With a little luck, we're never going to see Carver or that place ever again," Alvin said as he walked up to them from behind Clementine. He must have just woken up. "Where will we go?" Clementine asked as she turned around. "Well, Luke found a cabin that's pretty secluded. He only got a quick look at it. He told the rest of us that it was out in the middle of nowhere. It'll be hard to do runs now, but at least it'll be safe," Alvin said. The group members went their way over to the two children and Alvin. "So you three ready to go?" Luke asked. "We'll follow your lead," Alvin said. "I still can't believe we did it. We've dreaded our home for the past few months and now we're free," Connie said. "I'm glad that we left, but Bill isn't just going to leave us alone," Rebecca said. "Yes, we know that he doesn't let things go," Carlos said. "It's not just that," Rebecca said. "Some of you probably figured it out by now, but those who haven't, Bill is going to chase us down because of Clementine." Pete's, Nick's, Connie's, Carlos, Sarah's eyes all widened upon hearing this. Clementine frowned and looked down. She felt comforted when she felt her adoptive father's hands on her shoulders. "What do you mean it's because of her? She's just a little girl," Connie said. "I know Bill wants Clementine as his heir, but that would mean he would want her to act the way he does," Rebecca said. "No wonder you wanted us to leave suddenly," Pete said. Maybe I should do it," Clementine said. "If I would have agreed, then Reggie would have not got left behind. And now you guys are going to get hunted down because of me." "Hush now. I don't want to hear that talk like that," Alvin said in a stern voice. "I would have never wanted to see a psychopath would have done to you. You are a sweet, loving kid, Clem. I don't want to see you as a heartless monster. And that's exactly what Carver would have done to you. He would have changed you into a heartless monster." Clementine frowned. She felt the worst suggesting that she would give in to Carver's demand. "Alvin, you're making her feel bad," Rebecca said with a frown. Clementine heard a huff coming from behind her. She turned herself around and given a hug by the man. She couldn't stop crying. It felt like everything was her fault. If she hadn't been in their lives, none of this would have happened. "Hey, don't cry. I'm sorry if I was a bit harsh on you," Alvin said in a gentle voice. "It's not that," Clementine sobbed. This is all my fault. If I hadn't shown up." "Shh," Alvin said as he rubbed her back. "We love you, honey. You kept me and Beck together and made us a family." "He's right, sweetie," Rebecca said. "Before you showed up, I had a stupid thing. I started to see Bill, and now I know I've regretted everything else that happened between him and me." "Clem, we're a group. We're all here to support one another," Luke said. "Now you don't worry about us. Carver's smart and strong, but so are we." A small, gentle smile formed on Clementine's lips as she turned to the group while being in her adoptive father's embrace. "Thank you," she said. The group all sent nods to her. Alvin released her from the hug as he got up. He looked around to Luke and said, "Lead the way." "All right, with a bit of trek," Luke said, and he took a lead group with the members following behind him. Clementine was a bit nervous to be out in the open with no home, but she felt more reassured this time. She had her new family and friends to watch her back. She wasn't alone in this horrible world. She looked between her adoptive parents and the group. She followed Luke to the known location. At nighttime, after a whole day of walking, the group had found a cabin. It was well furnished to their surprise, and it was a decent amount of food and medical supplies found inside. Additionally, it was cozy. The cabin had provided plenty of warmth. It was good that they were going to get into the new world. I guess we ought to watch, Alvin said to Luke and Peek. Yeah, we might, even with this place being secluded, Luke said. Not you. We might need to go do a run tomorrow to get more supplies. See what we could find, Pete said. In this case, you're going to need rest too, Connie said. I'll take watch after Alvin. Connie, Pete said. Don't you Connie me. You know I'm tough and I know how to use a gun, Connie said. Pete sighed and said, I guess you don't take no for an answer well. Connie smirked and she said, You know me so well. Pete rolled his eyes and just said, Just be careful. Will do, Connie said. Pete and Luke went upstairs while Connie went over to the sofa to get some sleep before she would have to switch places with Alvin. Time for bed, sweetie, Carlos said to his daughter. Okay, Sarah said. She went upstairs to the bedroom and she and Clementine would sleep in. Come on, baby girl. Let's put your hair up so it doesn't get tangled mess tomorrow morning, Rebecca said to Clementine. Okay, Clementine said, with a small smile on her lips. She was surprised that she smiled. She had spent the whole day worrying about the safety of her new family and the group. However, she was relieved that they had found a place to call home. She followed Rebecca upstairs and they went into that one room that Rebecca and Alvin would have. Rebecca sat on the bed and pulled the 11-year-old to sit on her lap. She took to a nearby comb and ran through her curly hair. Clementine was finally relaxing after a whole day of worrying. You've been tense all day, Rebecca said. I know, I'm sorry, I just can't stop worrying. I've lost my whole group in this world, including Lee. I didn't want to lose you guys too, Clementine said with a frown. Oh, honey, you need to stop worrying about us. We would have been in this world for a long time now, and we all know how to take care of ourselves, Rebecca said. What about Sarah? She didn't seem to learn how to survive since she's out here now, Clementine asked. That's a good point. I'll ask Carlos tomorrow morning, Rebecca said. She used a couple of hair ties to keep her hair in place. Your hair is getting long, Clem. Is it bad? Clementine asked. No, I'm just amazed of how long it's getting, Rebecca said. I guess that's a sign that you're growing up. Along with some of the growth spurts, Clementine said with a smile. Yeah, along with the growth spurts, but you're still fun size, Rebecca said. All right, now I don't know about you, but I'm exhausted. I'm going to head to bed. Okay, me too, Clementine said, as she got up from Rebecca's lap. Rebecca stood and bent down to kiss her daughter on the cheek. Night, baby, Rebecca said as she hugged the girl. Night, Mommy, Clementine said as she hugged back. Soon the two separated from the hug and Clementine left the room. The young girl didn't feel as anxious as she was earlier. She could finally take in a deep breath and relax. She entered Sarah's room and saw the teenager was already asleep. She got to the other side of the bed and lay down next to her. She was glad to be sleeping in a bed again. She had cots back when at Howe's that took a long time to get used to. More and more the cabin was starting to feel like home. It was home. Clementine opened her eyes in the morning as she sat right up on her bed. She looked around the room and noticed that Sarah was missing. She was always an early riser. She got off the bed and could hear the adults from downstairs. She walked out of her room and went downstairs. She noticed the adults were talking to each other with Sarah listening in. She was surprised that they had her let her in the conversation. Rebecca turned her head to noticing Clementine. Morning, baby girl, Rebecca said. Good morning. What's going on? Clementine asked. Come on over. It's not an adult talk, Rebecca said. Clementine nodded and went over. Like last night, Rebecca placed the girl on her lap, but this time it was to remove her hair ties. Alright, so there was a problem with this location. The nearest town is about 5 miles from here, Luke said. So in other words, that's a bit of a walk, Pete said. If you leave now, you wouldn't come back until it was early evening, Carlos said. That's especially not good considering that winter's coming, Rebecca said. There was silence amongst the group members until Luke said, Look, I know this place may seem rough, but there is a lot going for it right now. There are a few lurkers out here, but nothing too terrible. This place is still in one place and it's well insulated, and it's got all of its furniture. This place is in better shape than I thought. We'll just have to find food, get some water running, maybe get a generator so that way we have a working stove. That would be nice, Clementine said. Luke smiled and he said, Well, at least I got the kid on my side. So Clem, what do you think? I mean, you've been around some places. You think some of this places is better good? Yeah, it will definitely work. It's a lot safer than some of the other places I've been to. And it's nicer than Howe's, Clementine said. I have to admit, but it's true, Pete said. That place felt like a prison more than a home. It was a prison, Nick said. Right, so what do we do? Carlos asked. You should come with me, that way I know what to grab if we come across a pharmacy, Luke said. Carlos sighed and said, All right. He turned to Rebecca and he asked, won't mind if you keep an eye on Sarah? I won't mind, Rebecca said as she finished messing Clementine's hair. Thank you, Carlos said. I'll take a rain check on the run, and to look around and see what the house and see what to do. The Randall family has always been filled with handymen, Pete said to Luke. You and Carlos should be fine. You won't be having me my first time dealing with walkers or people for that matter, Carlos said. Great, so what do you want me to do? Nick asked. Take a look around the area and see if there's anything we can use, Pete said. Nick groaned in response. He was hoping he wouldn't have to do anything. What about Clementine? Sarah asked. How about you two help me around and get this place cleaned up? Rebecca said. Yeah, that sounds good, Clementine said. All right. Now we have our assignments, Luke said. We'll let Alvin and Connie sleep for the time being. The adults got up, to which it was Clementine's cue to get up as well. Pete went outside with Nick trailing behind him. Luke was gathering a couple of guns, ammunition, and some other supplies for the run, while Carlos talked to Sarah. Clementine turned and waited for her adoptive mother to give her a set of chores to do or follow her lead. However, Rebecca didn't say anything. She then looked down to Clementine and she said, How did you sleep? Good. I like me and my and Sarah's new bed. It's comfy, Clementine said. That's good, Sarah said. I could tell you like it here. I guess I do, but do you? Clementine asked. I don't know. A part of me wants to keep moving so Carver doesn't find us, but you looked so tense yesterday, and I hate seeing you like that, Rebecca said. I'm scared that I'll lose you and Daddy, Clementine said with a frown. It's okay, honey, Rebecca said as she pulled Clementine for a hug. Your daddy and I are strong. Lee was strong too, and he's gone, Clementine said. I know, honey, Rebecca said. Everything will work out. She released Clementine from the hug and stood upright. All right, keep Sarah safe, Carlos said as he approached Rebecca with Sarah by his side. I will. Just make sure you get back safely, Rebecca said. Will do, Carlos said, as he headed over to Luke and the two men left the house. Rebecca huffed and said, All right, girls, let's see what we could find. She went over to the nearby closets and started looking through it. Sarah and Clementine walked into the kitchen and started to look through the cupboards. Hey, Clem, Sarah said. Yeah? Is everything okay? You were really tense yesterday and you still kinda are, Sarah said. Ed, oh, I'm very tense. The world is a very bad place right now, Clementine said. And I'm just afraid I'll lose everyone again like last time. Oh, Sarah said. Why is it so bad? Because of the monsters out there, Clementine said. The same ones that were chasing us when we left Howe's. Yeah, those things are scary, Clementine, Sarah said. Yeah, Clementine said. She didn't like talking about the walkers. After all, those creatures were the very least partly responsible for taking everything. She kept checking the food in the cupboards. She and Sarah threw out a lot of food that had spoiled long ago before Rebecca came in. There were some things we can use to clean up inside this cabin. That's good. A lot of the food is spoiled, Clementine said with a frown. Well, we knew that, Rebecca said. Has anyone looked in the fridge yet? Both of the girls shook their heads no. Rebecca sighed and she said, All right. She went over to the fridge and looked inside and what was in it. Clementine and Sarah were curious. They looked over their shoulder. Oh my gosh, Rebecca muttered. The fridge was filled with bottles and cans. What is it? Clementine asked. Alcohol. I guess what you can expect. The last people here who were probably a bunch of men going out hunting. Why did they eat the fridge if it's full of alcohol? Clementine said. Probably whatever they hunted. Who knows? Rebecca said. So what should we do with all this? Sarah asked. Throw it out, Rebecca said to her.